So this is the issue that I'm having, and I've never done this sort of repair before. It will be a first time for me. So this is the water line that comes from outside the city into the house, and then this line goes up and goes throughout the whole home, etc. Now I have this line that runs to the irrigation system outside the house. So winter's pretty much here. I have the valve turned off and it's still trickling water. So clearly this needs to be replaced. Now, what I did try beforehand, I removed, this is a 14 mil nut. I removed the handle, and then sometimes with these shutoff valves, you see that little other nut behind there? I turned that clockwise as far as I could. It just didn't do anything. So again, first time for me, let's shut off the water first. And then what we're going to do, there's not a lot of room here to cut with a pipe cutter, so I'll try with a handsaw. Remove this, and again, first time, let's see how the Sharkbite turns out. Okay, so I also turned off this valve because if I leave this open, the water by gravity just trickles down. So both valves are off, and very quickly, if you're not sure what size pipe or what size fitting to purchase, right on there we can find 3/4 of an inch. Now this is a 24-point blade. I'll link all of the tools and supplies below in case you want to see anything. And just because this is YouTube and you see something, oh, that's really easy, and then it turns out to be a lot harder, I'm going to set a time watch here and see how long it takes to cut this. Worst case scenario, if this doesn't work out, then I have to call a plumber, but we'll see how we do here. Whew, we're almost done. It's tough, at least on my hands. I have to stop every few minutes and just take a break. And in terms of what this would cost if you hired a plumber, my guess, $250 for them, and I think they would use a soldering, they would solder a new connection on. All right, there it is. 31 minutes. And even with the shutoff valves turned off, you can see how much water still comes out of the pipes. But look, if you take a look here, we have some leftover residue. Now, one thing that comes to mind is just using a Dremel and sanding that down, but I'm just using the blade here. Let's see if we can just cut this away. It's a little hard with the saw, so I'm just going to use a Dremel. And this is just some sandpaper. I started with 120 grit, and this is now 400. Just cleaning it up. I also have an 80 grit sanding block just to make sure everything is nice and square. Maybe overdoing it, but I don't want to do this again. So taking an extra 5 minutes out, I think it's worth it. So this is to deburr the pipe. You'll see this in action in a moment. And then we have the shutoff valve itself. Now in my case, there were really two options. This is roughly 3 inches long, the old one, okay? This is 5 inches. They did make a shorter option that was like $4 less. I just figured I don't want to move the pipe around too much. If I can slip this over and give me a little bit more working room, I'll pay the extra couple bucks and get the longer extension. But again, typically $30-35 for this. This is like 10 to 12 bucks. Now the deburring tool has really two options or two functions. So 3/4 of an inch in our case, we place it in the pipe. Not a lot of working room, but you're just burring the end of the pipe. So you have just that much better of a connection. And you also mark with a marker, okay, how far the pipe has to go. So in my case, it needs to go, okay, right about there. And I just do the same thing on the other side. Deburr it. I'll do that off camera. Nothing to see there. Right there. So now I know the new shutoff valve has to be in between these 2 points. So on the shutoff valve, we have slip end. So with this tool, we can now back it out. You'll see in a moment and get it right into position. I have my 2 marks. I also loosened up. There was a little mount here. Loosened up the mount, so this is a little bit easier. So just going to slip this on. There we go. That's good in there. There we go. Oh, actually quite tight. more. And then with the quick release tool, just grabbing this, placing it against the new valve, trying to be as gentle as possible. Again, I don't want any solder joints to break or anything like that. So just going to press against the end here. It's actually pretty hard in this position. I've seen some videos and they're like, yeah, watch this, 1, 2, 3. It's not that easy for me.
A few moments later.
So we're finally installed. It was a little tough for me because of the working room and using this tool. It was hurting my hand quite a bit, but just squeezing this in and getting this into position. So right here you can see where the pipe is. This is where the hacksaw was hitting the wall as I cut the pipe. So right here's where the pipe is, and right here's where the pipe is. And then regarding this tool, because they also make an orange one, just make note that one end says the first gen, the other end is the max. So in this case, because this is a max fitting, you just want to mark off those on how deep you need to go. It's roughly, I think, 1.25 inches. So let's close this off, turn on the water. Okay, so we are in good shape. This was a little harder than what I found online. This took me a good 1.5 hours, but it looks like we're in good shape. I'll just let it sit for a little while, make sure we have no leaks. And as you can see, no leaks.